Hey guys, and welcome back to another Pixelmon video. So, in today's video we're going to be playing through 100 days of Pixelmon survival on the complex Pixelmon server. But, in this video we're going to be playing through my 100 days with only water-type Pokemon. So, as always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel to stay tuned for future videos. And without further ado, let's jump right into 100 days on Pixelmon survival with water types only. So, when you first join Complex Pixelmon, you have a choice of a bunch of different servers. In this episode, I played on the Pearl server. After jumping into the Pearl server, I then had a choice of picking my starter. They had a couple custom ones, but obviously because I'm doing water types, the only options I had there would have been a Marill or a Shelder. So I went onto the original starters and I decided that I would go with Froakie. I then threw out my new starter Pokemon to find out that he was super small. Me and my rival Real Hawk then decided that we'd have a quick Pokemon battle, in which I managed to take the dub. After winning the battle, I then got a choice of which Mega Stone I would like, so I picked the Mega Ring. We then checked out the kits that the server had to offer, claiming the kit Discord, which gave you a free shiny Pokemon. And I was so close to getting a shiny Quagsire, which would have been used on my team, but unfortunately I got a shiny Dottler, and my rival got a shiny Clauncher. We then both decided that we were going to run around spawn, collect as many presents as possible to hopefully get all 36 and find the reward. With the presents, you get 200 coins and 5 tokens per present, and when you find all 36 of them around the spawn area, you get a special reward. After finally finding all 36 of the presents in spawn, we got a shiny key, which gives you a chance to get a shiny Pokemon or a 10% chance to get a shiny legendary. In this case, me and my rival both got a shiny Pokemon, and what we got inside of it was useless again, because unfortunately I got a Trevenant and my rival got a Mothim, meaning that we weren't able to use these in our team. But I mean, hey, they look pretty cool either way. Whilst just hanging around in the Pokemon Center, a world boss then spawned, which was a boss Blaziken. I attempted to take it out, but unfortunately my Froakie was not strong enough yet, so I got destroyed pretty quickly. I then headed out into the desert biome to level up my Froakie as much as possible. And of course I headed to the desert because it was full of ground and rock types, meaning that Froakie was able to defeat most of them pretty easily. I then got to claim my rewards from the Blaziken boss, in which I managed to get myself 10 Ultra Balls, 15 Great Balls, and 5 Rare Candies, which I instantly put into my Froakie. I then continued to level up my Froakie on the ground types, until eventually he managed to evolve into a Frogadier. Although he was still extremely small, so I was really worried that my Greninja might turn out like that too. We then managed to find a raid den that had a Dunsparce inside of it. It was only a 1-star, so it was pretty easy. But after the raid den was finished, my rival's Mudkip evolved into a Marshtomp. I then decided it was time to add a new member to my team, so I headed to the swamp and managed to catch myself a level 21 Dewpider. After catching the Dewpider, I continued my journey until I ran across a Poliwag. So of course you guys already know I had to catch that one to turn it into a Politoed eventually. And lastly, to complete my 4th member of the team, we found a Wingull to catch. And after catching the Wingull, I was pretty happy with my team, adding a Poliwag, a Dewpider, and a Wingull to the team. Me and my rival then found a really nice cove in a beach, so we decided to set up a base with a crafting table and a chest. We then got bored, so we decided to compare Wingull sizes. I then remember at the start of the game I was given a dungeon key, which was the Beginner's Island, so I decided to do it, and essentially all it is just a little tutorial of showing you around the map, showing you what the server has to offer, all the different commands, all the different things that you'll need to start your journey. It was a pretty cool addition. So I'll just quickly speed this one up for you guys because there wasn't anything special that you guys would have needed to see. Until of course I got to the end of the dungeon, and of course I managed to get myself a random shiny Pokemon. And to my luck, it was a shiny Ultra Beast Blacephalon, which was absolutely insane. But the problem was, obviously, it's not a water type, so he had to sit in the PC for the rest of this series, unfortunately. After checking out the shiny Blacephalon, I headed back home to see that my rival was waiting for me. He wanted to have a rival battle. But unfortunately, one by one, he defeated each of my Pokemon, defeating me in our second ever rival battle. I then headed to the boss arena, where I took on a boss Marshadow, but unfortunately, once again, my team is still not good enough to defeat these bosses. After teleporting back to my home, I then came across a Cramorant, which I caught, but unfortunately I wasn't recording, so here it is. I then also caught myself a Horsey. I then used a bunch of my rare candies to level up my Dewpider until he evolved into an Araquanid, and it was awesome looking. I then also evolved my Poliwag into a Poliwhirl. I then also leveled up my Wingull until he evolved into a Pelipper. And for anyone competitive out there, I think they know exactly what I'm doing with this Pelipper. I then checked out the Pokebuilder feature that we had on the server, and I decided that I would make my Frogadier ginormous. Yeah, even after making him ginormous, he was still looking decently small. I then ran around catching myself a couple water-type Pokemons, starting with a Clauncher. I then found in the water a Finneon, which I also caught, and I also caught a Pokemon I can't pronounce the name of, it's like Alamola or something like that. And I also caught a Welmer and a Tentacle. After catching a few Pokemon, I then decided that I would do a hard hunt, where I managed to get a Wobbuffet, which was pretty easy to get, I just had to head to the end. So I headed through and journeyed around in the end until I found a couple Wobbuffet that matched the hunt that I needed. And whilst hunting for Wobbuffets, I then had a SPLEEF event start, and you guys already know I had to jump on that one. Complex have a bunch of small little events that they always host throughout the days, and they're always so much fun, so I'd definitely check these out if you do join the server. And there's no point me showing you like the entirety of the SPLEEF event, so I'll just show you a sped up version of one of the rounds, and then I'll just show you where I came on all 3 rounds. And through all 3 rounds, I ended up coming 5th, 3rd, and 1st, so not too bad. And as a reward for coming 3rd and 1st, I got a bunch of keys as a reward. So I opened them all, getting myself 50 raid points, 24 rare candies, a shiny spin, 32 ultra balls, and another shiny spin. But unfortunately, both the shiny spins ended up being a fail, as I only got a Rockruff and an Aurorus, which both are not water types. I then finally managed to complete my hard hunt Wobbuffet, where I only managed to get myself a couple voting keys, in which the rewards I didn't really get anything too good. After that, I headed to the ocean to mine up some fossils, catching myself a Staryu. I then finally beat my first world boss, which was a Mimikyu. After beating the Mimikyu, I got some decent rewards. And after that, I then continued mining up as many fossils as possible, as there was one water type fossil in particular that I really wanted to use. And whilst mining fossils, I then came across a Lantern, so I decided to catch it. After getting the fossil I needed, I headed back to the fossil lab, cleaned up the fossil, and finally got myself a Kabuto. And after that, I then got invited into a raid dungeon, so of course I had to accept. But unfortunately my team was too low level to actually fight any of the dungeon mons, so I kind of just sat back and watched the guys do their thing. It was a pretty cool experience though, checking out all of the custom textured Pokemon. They looked absolutely amazing. After we got to the final boss, I admired how cool the Dialga looked, and then I decided that I would hide in a corner and wait for the guys to defeat the Dialga, because you already know my team isn't going to be able to dent that thing. After the guys defeated the Dialga, we then got home and I claimed my rewards, getting myself 2 seasonal keys and a random Arceus plate, which I managed to get the Icicle plate. After claiming my key rewards, I managed to get myself 25 raid points and a shiny key. But unfortunately, again, as a common trend for this series so far, my shiny spin ended up being a Machoke, meaning I couldn't use it. After getting back home, I used my rare candies to evolve my Frogadier into a giant Greninja. I was super happy that I made him ginormous because it definitely paid off with the Greninja model. After that, I then defeated an uncommon raid boss, which was a Marowak, getting myself some more decent rewards. I then decided that I would evolve my Horsey into a Seadra. And then after that, I headed over to the Warp level grinder and leveled up all of my Pokemon to a decent level. The level grinder and complex is a pretty cool place to go. It's just full of trainers that have chances that can't hurt you, meaning that it's an easy way to get your Pokemon all decently leveled. After leveling up my Pokemon, I then got out my Staryu and evolved him with a Water Stone, getting myself a Starmie. I then decided to teach my Starmie Thunder, as it would be a perfect move to counter any water types in the future. I then managed to defeat a boss Tyranitar, getting myself some more decent loot and a lot more rare candies. As we were about a third through our journey now, me and my rival decided we'd have another rival battle, but this time I finally managed to defeat my rival, taking out his Pokemon one by one and getting myself the victory. After beating my rival, I then decided to head back to the level grinder to level up my team a little bit more. And during my leveling process, I then had my Kabuto evolve into a Kabutops. And after he evolved, I continued leveling. After I'd leveled all my Pokemon to around level 50, I then went to the shops and bought a King's Rock, which would be needed to evolve my Poliwhirl into a Politoed, which is exactly what I did the next day. And whilst I was back in the level grinder, a parkour event started. So I headed over, but unfortunately I didn't do too well on this one, only coming 8th. So I'll just show you a really quick version of how it went. And I'm a little bit embarrassed about some of the jumps. It was a bit embarrassing for me because I'm decently good at parkour, I would say, but in this I was definitely the worst. After the absolute nightmare of a parkour event, I headed to the world boss and managed to defeat a Mamoswine, getting myself a bunch more rare candies and a decent amount of cash. I then headed back to spawn and decided to try my luck at the boss tower, but unfortunately I got absolutely clapped and ended up being defeated on the first level. And for some reason, after doing horribly in the parkour event, I then decided to take part in another parkour event, in which I wasn't even able to finish it, so I ended up quitting halfway through. And finally, to finish off this day, in fashion of being absolutely destroyed constantly, I then decided to take on the Fire Gym, where once again, I got absolutely clapped. The next day, I headed over to the teams area and decided that I would join Team Beacon. We then checked out the entirety of the team area, finding every single present that they had to offer. It was exactly the same as the spawn area presents. We had to run around, look for all of the hidden presents, and eventually when we collected all 35 of them, we were going to get a reward. And finally, after getting the 35th present, we got another shiny key. So me and my rival headed back and opened up our shiny key. But once again, unfortunately, we both only got a normal shiny Pokemon spin. In which I unfortunately only got a shiny Carnivine, which meant that I wasn't able to use another shiny Pokemon. We then both headed through to the Safari Zone, where I managed to catch myself a little baby Wooper and also a Lotad. I then used some of my rare candies to evolve my small little Wooper into a Quagsire, and he looked absolutely hilarious. After that, I headed to the level grinder to level up my Lotad and evolve him into a Lombre. After getting a Lombre, I then traded with someone and got myself a Dragon Scale and another Waterstone in order to evolve my Lombre into a Ludicolo and my Seadra into a Kingdra. And with my new team, I managed to finally defeat the Fire Gym. Taking out all 6 of his Pokemon and getting myself an Equinox key and a random shiny, which unfortunately was a shiny Berserker, meaning once again it was another shiny that I was not able to use. And after opening the crate, I didn't get anything special, just 10,000 Pokédollars. I then headed back to the boss arena again and took out the world boss Mamoswine, getting myself some pretty decent loot, including 2 time dungeon fragments, which were used to summon a dungeon. And then one of my favourite things on the server happened again, another event started, in which it was a TNT run. So I'll speed this one up for you guys just so you can see how I did. But unfortunately, throughout all 3 of the TNT runs, I didn't do too well, and I didn't even get any placings under 3rd place, meaning that I didn't get any rewards, which I was really devastated about because I really enjoy doing these events. After voting for the day, I then went back to the spawn, opened the crates, and managed to get a random shrine or altar, in which I managed to get the Zapdos Static Shrine, which was pretty cool, but I can't summon it because it's not a water type. Me and my rival then went out exploring, because we didn't really think that the place that we'd chosen to live was the best area. So we moved around and found this really cool island on the border, with a pretty cool little beach area, so we decided to move our base and set down home on the edge of the beach. And whilst I was moving all of our items, my rival then got a shiny Gyarados, which I was super jealous about. I then claimed my 2-day streak and managed to get myself a shiny plushie, and I managed to get a Rillaboom, which was pretty cool. I then also opened up my crate key, in which I only managed to get 15 rate points. I then decided to spend the next few days leveling up my entire team until they all hit level 100. After getting my entire team to level 100, I then caught myself a Shellos as well and added that one to the team. After adding it to my team, I headed back to the level grinder and leveled it up to level 60 until eventually a SPLEEF event started again. And you already know I ain't trying to miss out on any of these SPLEEF events, I absolutely love them. So I jumped into that, and I won't show you the entire thing this time, I'll just show you the places that I came. And I didn't do too badly, unfortunately I did come 4th on the first one, I then won the second one, and then unfortunately there was a little bug on the 3rd one and I came 6th. And here's all the rewards I managed to get from the crates, nothing too special. After After opening my crates, I headed back to the level grinder once again, and finally got Gastrodon to level 100. Me and my rival then decided to go exploring until we found a raid den which had a Seadra in it. And after defeating it, we got some pretty good loot, and I managed to catch it as well. But with all the loot that I got, I managed to get a wishing piece, which is used to summon another raid den. So I spawned another one and got a raid den Delmise, which we defeated pretty easily, getting more good loot, including an ability cap. And of course, my rival then also got a wishing piece, so we headed back home and spawned another raid den Dratini. And after beating the Dratini once again, I managed to get a wishing piece, meaning that we'd spawned a boss Basculin. And this would be the Basculin from the Hisuian region, so if we were able to catch it, we'd be able to get Basculegion, which would be so cool. But unfortunately, we weren't able to catch this one. I then decided that if I wanted to beat more gyms, I'd have to up my team. So I decided to buy myself a competitive Battle Perfect hidden ability Froakie. After buying it off of the GTS, I then made it into a shiny, and eventually evolved it from a Froakie into a Frogadier, and a Frogadier up into a Greninja. And in fashion of adding new Pokemon to my team, you guys already know that I headed straight back to the level grinder and leveled my new Greninja up to level 100. After getting Greninja to level 100, I added some new moves to him, adding Dark Pulse and Ice Beam. After that, I then defeated a boss Tyranitar, and then headed home and added Grass Knot to my Greninja, because with his hidden ability Protein, the typing of whichever move I use becomes Greninja's primary typing, which is a super good ability, so I wanted to have 4 different moves of 4 different typings. I then got all of my rewards from beating the boss Tyranitar, in which I managed to get a Master Ball, which was super awesome in case I ran into a water type legendary. So with my newfound strong team, I decided that I would go and take on some more gyms. And forgetting that I'd already taken out the fire gym, I've defeated that one again. I then headed over to the ground gym and beat that one, getting myself a few key rewards and a shiny Frostmoth. After claiming my crate rewards, I managed to get a Thunderous, which was awesome, but unfortunately once again, he's not a water type, so that's going straight to the PC. After that, I headed to the ghost gym and defeated that one too, getting myself a couple more crate keys and also a Z Crystal spin, in which I got an Insignium Z. After opening my crate key, I got another shrine, and this time I got the Frozen Shrine. I then headed through to the Rock Gym, completing that one as well. And with my key that I got another shrine, and this time I got the Arc Chalice. I then once again headed through and defeated a world boss Snorlax, getting myself some pretty decent rewards again. As we were getting closer to the end of our 100 days, me and my rival decided to have another rival battle. And it was a close battle, but unfortunately, one by one, he defeated my Pokemon, giving him his second win of the series. After that devastating loss, I then headed through to the Sand Tomb dungeon. This dungeon was really cool, and once again had some really cool different custom skins in. Had a bunch of difficult bosses to take out, but luckily, this time, my Pokemon were at good levels, meaning that I was able to help in this dungeon. And that's where we faced our first problem. This boss Ho-Oh made so many problems for the team. A lot of us had limited healing supplies, meaning that once we'd taken it out once, most of our team was completely wiped out. And as you'll see here in the fast sped up replay, we had to run up and down constantly just to get our Pokemon to heal slightly so that we could take part in the next fight. Luckily we had a pretty strong team member on the team who managed to defeat the Ho-Oh 14 more times, winning us the dungeon and getting us some pretty cool rewards. And whilst we were in the dungeon, a TNT run event started. So the second we got out of the dungeon, I didn't check any of my rewards, I headed straight into the TNT run and took part in the event. But unfortunately, I only came 4th, meaning that I didn't get any rewards, but it was still a good event. I then got out of the event and decided that I would claim my rewards, getting a shiny Pansage and a shiny Finion. And finally, with my last shiny spin that I managed to get from a different crate, I managed to get a shiny Ultra Beast Guzzlord, which was absolutely insane. And when I rode on him, he made a really weird roaring sound, so I got off him and put him straight into the PC. For the next few days, I then spent the entire time dedicated to building a really nice beach house for me and my rival to stay in. And as you watch this replay, the house really comes together and I'm really happy with how it came out. I'll leave a link to the description of the guy that I got my inspiration from. But by the end of building the house, I thought it looked really good and it turned out perfectly. I'm really happy with this build. After completing my house, I decided that I would take part in my final dungeon of the 100 days. So I joined the Christmas Flurry dungeon. It was a really cool dungeon and had a bunch of really cool custom textured Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I really would recommend checking these out because the dungeons are probably the best part about the Complex Pixelmon server. And as always, I'll speed this one up for you guys because this dungeon took a long time. After finally defeating the final boss Lunala, we headed out of the dungeon, getting a shiny key and 2 seasonal keys. My seasonal keys didn't have anything special in, but finally my shiny key had a legendary shiny spin in. So I headed home and opened up my legendary shiny spin, in which I managed to get a shiny Hooper. He looks super cool. It was a shame that he wasn't a water type, but still nonetheless, a shiny legendary is still amazing. And whilst I was showing off my shiny Hooper to my friends, I then saw that there was a giant Shuckle raid den inside the bottom of our house. So we quickly defeated that, and to my surprise, another SPLEEF event started. This was going to be the last SPLEEF event we took part in this 100 days, so I was super happy that it popped up now. And at the end of the SPLEEF event, I came first. I was super happy. On my last SPLEEF event, I managed to take the dub. And after the SPLEEF event, everything came down to this one moment. The water gym. The question was, would my team beat the best water team that Complex Pixelmon had to offer? This was the final test. One by one, my team managed to defeat the water types. I took quite a few hits, he took quite a few hits. But finally, Starmie managed to clutch up with 2 last-minute thunders, getting me the win over the water type gym leader. I was so happy with my team that they'd finally became the strongest water type team on Complex Pixelmon, until my rival came back, and had also defeated the water type gym leader, meaning that we'd have to have one more rival battle to see who the ultimate water type trainer was. It was a difficult battle, each person taking out one Pokemon at a time, until eventually it came down to the last two Pokemon, Rotom Wash versus Ludicolo. Luckily, I managed to take out the Rotom, earning myself the title of the strongest water-type trainer. And that was it, guys. That is the end of my 100 days as a water-type trainer on Pixelmon. Just a quick shout out to my rival Real Hawk, make sure you guys go and check him out in the description. And as always guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for future content. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one.